Hello all. If you have heard about Kubernetes, then you might have heard how difficult it is to do proper Kubernetes cluster installation. Well, that brings us today topic setting up AKS from Azure Portal. Once again, welcome to Nomam YouTube channel. In today's talk, we'll be covering how to set up Azure Kubernetes Service, also known as AKS, for those who are new to it. So what is AKS? Well, AKS is a managed Kubernetes service provided by Microsoft Azure. It simplifies the deployment, management, and operations of Kubernetes cluster. Setting up AKS is a great way for beginners to get started with Kubernetes. With this managed service, it makes the deployment of management clusters much easier. So enough with the theory, let's get started. So first of all, I'll go to portal Azure portal. So portal.azure.com. I have already logged in. So here I'll search for AKS, which is Kubernetes service. I'll click on create a Kubernetes cluster. So it takes a subscription. If you have multiple subscriptions, you can select which one you wanted to, and similar to that resource group. If you have already existing resource group, you can use that. Currently I'm using Nomam. If you don't have any resource group yet, you can create new by giving the name. So I'm using Nomam resource, and I'm not changing all those details. What I'll do, I'll just give cluster name. So test cluster, region, zones, you can change, and if you want to change any of the details, you can change it. But for now, but as it is a demo, I'm not changing any of these details. I'm keeping as it is. And node count range, for no, for now it is like 1 to 5. I'm changing it to 2. So I'll review and create. It is loading. Once it completes the validation, it will check validation password. So now validation is passed. I'll click on create. So it is initializing deployment. It will take couple of minutes. So meanwhile, what we'll do, to access this cluster, we need one virtual machine and Azure command line, Azure CLI. So what we'll do, we'll set up that dev environment meanwhile. So as it deployment is in progress, I'll go to Azure Portal homepage again. Here, I'll click on virtual machines. I'll create Azure virtual machine. So what I'm trying to do is, once the cluster is ready, we need to interact with the cluster. So for that, I'm creating one virtual machine. So I'm selecting resource group, same nomam again. I'm giving username as my AKS VM. I'm not changing any of these details. So here I'll select password authentication and Azure name, username. I have given username and password I'm providing. So for remote connection, port 22 is enabled. That is fine. I'll click on review and create. It will take a moment to load and it shows validation password. So I'll click on create. In this demo, we'll deploy one sample application which is in Microsoft Azure documentation. So we'll follow this tutorial, and I'll share this link in the description of this video. You can go through it. So basically what this application do, so it's a voting app, Azure voting app. When you click on cats, the cats vote will increase. When you click on dogs, the dogs count will increase. When you reset, it will come to 0 and you can start voting it again. So this application we are going to deploy now. So for that we are to bringing up this cluster, and then to interact with the cluster we are creating one VM, and that environment setup we are doing. Okay, we'll see how it can. So this VM deployment is in progress, and cluster setup also in progress. It will take couple of minutes. We'll just wait. If you see here, VM deployment is completed. So I'll click on go to resource. I'll just refresh again to get all those details. So if you see here, I got the public IP. I'll copy it and I'll connect with this using Mobux term SSH. I'll paste the public IP and username Azure admin which we have created. I'll click on OK. It is asking for password. I'm providing the password which I have used. Yes. So I logged into the VM which is created, AKS VM. So to double check, so this is the VM, AKS VM, right? So now I'll become root, and here we need to install a couple of things that I have noted down commands. There is also I'll be sharing you. So first we need Azure CLI. Why Azure CLI? To authenticate with the Azure cluster. So this is the command to install Azure CLI. It will take a couple of minutes. If you want, you can refer this documentation and you can select specific operating specific. So there is a detailed guide for Windows, Linux, MacOS, and also currently I have launched Linux operating system, that too Ubuntu Debian based. So I'm using this command. There are multiple options based on your operating system. You can select which way is suitable for you. I'll see whether it is. That's almost done. So if you see cluster deployment, it will take some more time. Still, it is in progress. Yeah, if you see now, this also complete. We'll click to resources. Will not make any changes here, but you can observe what all the details: subscription, resource group, Kubernetes version, and API server address. So all these details it will be showing you here. Okay, I'll check on VM. So if you see, yeah, Azure CLI is installed. How can I check? I'll just check az hyphen hyphen version. So it is giving me Azure relative version and all. Yes, that is fine. Now we have another requirement of kubectl. What is kubectl? Kubectl is a command line tool to interact with the Kubernetes cluster. So we'll check kubectl is there or not. So kubectl is not there. So what we'll do, I'll install kubectl as well. Snap. install kubectl -. Classic. So this will bring kubectl as well. So now we have the tools with us. We have a VM and we have kubectl, we have Azure CLI as well. Now our what we need to do, we need to interact to the cluster using Azure CLI. How you can do that? There is a command. So before that, you need to log in to Azure. So the command is az login. Okay, I click on az login. So it is giving me one URL that I need to copy from here in browser. I need to paste this for my device login, and it is asking for code. Where I'll get that code? If you see here we have a unique code. Every time you log in, it will generate new code. I'll paste that code. Next. So I'll click on my account, continue. If you see, you have signed into Microsoft Azure class command line. You might close this. No, I'll close this window. You see here, okay, I have logged in. Now I need to interact with the cluster. So for that, I have this command az AKS get credentials resource group. So in resource group, we need to give our resource group name. What is our resource group name? No ma'am. And also I need to provide my cluster name. What is my cluster name? Test cluster. We'll just verify once again. So resource group is no ma'am. Here, okay. Resource group is no test cluster. If you see, all good. I'll just click enter. So it is telling test cluster as a current context. To check that, kubectl get nodes. So it will display what are the nodes. Currently in my cluster we have 2 nodes. I'll also check any pods are running. kubectl get pods. kubectl get pods. So there are no pods. We'll just check services as well. So one cluster AP services. That is fine. What we'll do, we'll try to deploy one application from the example. So if we go down, we're here. Yes, so deploy the application. So this is the YAML which will, if we observe, so there is a deployment of this application and service as well, and application deployment for front end and the service. So what I'll do, we'll just copy this code, vi app.yaml. I'll just create app.yaml and I'll paste the code inside this. Okay, I'll save the file. Now I'll create the resources using command kubectl create f file. So the file name is app.yaml. If you see, it is created deployment service, one backend deployment, and then other services it is created. Okay. eptl get service. Okay, it also created services and all. Get pods will get pods. So pods, deployment service, everything it created. So we'll just check service. So if we see here, all this application front end exposed on the this particular IP, external IP, and the port type is load balancer. So if we want to access this application from outside, you need to use this particular IP. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this IP. I'll go to browser. I'll paste that particular IP. See, the application is ready. If I just click on cats, so cat increasing. If I click on dogs, dogs one increasing. Cat, dog, cats, dogs, cats, dogs, cat, dogs. So like that, it will work. So that is our application.